The language of an investor. Everybody understands this. All right. By the way, last night I'm getting better and better at teaching this, and there was a point in this where because I had a fourth-time attendee, all right, last night, and she finally came to me. She goes, "I think you're better, or I got it, or something, because I get it now, finally." All right. We've got another Steve here, who is a commercial broker that understands this stuff upside down and backwards. All right, probably teach this class. So the cool thing is, I'm going to break it down for you a little bit and help you understand. Can you hear me okay, Jim? All right, good. Why and how investors think, all right, and why it's totally different than a residential contract or residential deal. And I'm also here to tell you, Steve, we got a small group. So Bob has 5 rentals already, okay, single-family homes.
Single-family home and a condo.
Okay, single-family home and a condo. Steve, do you have any investment property currently?
Just a couple vacant lots. I own about 10 acres of land that's better.
Okay, gotcha. Very good. Anybody, and Lenny, okay, good. You guys back there? You guys, Kev, you have any investment property at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. By choice or by default?
That's what they said.
Okay.
We don't say no to any kind of deal.
What's that?
We don't say no to any kind of deal, of course. And we've got several individual investors who buy and sell property each month.
Perfect. And do you, personally, do you own any investment property?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, very good. Brindley?
No, I do not.
Awesome. Great way, by the way, I wrote an article probably 15 years ago for the Pro magazine. They were trying to fill some space, and it says why real estate agents should be the biggest purchasers of investment property. All right? And I'm going to see why, because I'm a firm believer in this stuff. I think that it's let me back up for a second. If you came here looking for, okay, how do I buy and flip properties? This is not it. So I'll give you a free chance to leave now, all right, if that's what you're looking for. Because it's real easy, by the way. Okay, matter of fact, I'll give you a bonus. Ready? Here's buy and flip. Buy low, put a little in, put lipstick on a pig, we call it, all right? Sell it for a lot more and leave with your money and get out. Done. It's a 10-second version of what they're trying to sell you for $39.95, 3 easy payments at 2 a.m., all right?
Tarpon Springs, there's a golf course next Tuesday. It's more than $39.95.
Okay, see.
Montalban or something like that. He's teaching it up there.
Oh, really?
That's exactly right.
The Fantasy Island guy?
Scott Yancey and his wife do one, and Monteblanc, heavy set dark fella, he has another.
Okay. All right, very good. So you got that there. All right, I just saved you a lot of time and not having to drive. Buy low, sell high. Put a little bit into it, what we call, like I said, lipstick on a pig, all right, and get it done. All right, fair enough. Now, if you're looking for what I call base hits, all right, I'm going to grow my wealth by base hits, or you want to represent people who want to do that, what we call buy and hold investment property, then this is the language they speak, and you should learn to speak if you're looking to do it. Okay, fair enough. All right, calculated cap rate. You guys took your real estate exam. Everybody understands you had to do that, right? Other people said, how many questions are on math? 10? If I get them all wrong, can I still pass the test? Right? And they say, oh yeah, you can. Okay, forget it. I'll just wipe those away and forget the other stuff. Everybody raise your right hand. Okay, raise your right hand. Okay. I state your name. I know. I knew that was coming. There's a joker in every room. All right. Fully admit that math is easy. It is. I was a high school math teacher, and if it wasn't easy for you, you should have had me as a teacher. All right? And lucky you have one now. This stuff is easy, guys, and it makes sense. The name of the concept actually tells you what to do, all right, as far as figuring out a formula. By the way, if you want a copy of this PowerPoint, just email me. My email is, you ready, Bob? I'll tell you where we're coming. B-O-B, that's a good one, isn't it? You like that, don't you?
Yep.
Bob, frontwards and backwards, all right? MCD, Mary Charlie David, at futurehomerealty.com. Email me. I'll get you a copy of the PowerPoint. We can get you a copy of the link to our YouTube channel that has the training on this and all that stuff. Okay? Fair enough? And I'm fighting a little cough, so I apologize in advance. Anyway, don't be afraid of the math. The math is going to be easy. Okay? I'm going to show you how to do it. Plus, we're going to walk through a real-life example. I like Lencioni. The thing I like about Patrick Lencioni, Brindley and I were talking earlier about a great book by that he's a great author, but he all teaches through fables or parables, right? It's all stories, so he tricks you into learning, right? Because you can follow, engage, kind of like Michael Mayer's book, right? 7 Levels. It's a story about a real estate agent, so that's easy for me to read. That's why I love historical novels. All right, I just get done and wow, I was really engaged, and man, I just learned about World War II. That's kind of cool. You know what I mean? I learned history by following this fictional character through his life, So we're going to go through that. Here's the deal. Cap rate, all it is, it's used to back into a value. I'm going to describe it in a second, okay? You're going to back into a value. All we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of property, and here's the cool thing too, is that it doesn't matter if this piece of property is, we're going to study a triplex in Holiday, real life example, down and dirty, something I've owned, okay? We're going to study a triplex in Holiday, but the cool thing is the concepts that we're going to learn in that are the same thing if you wanted to analyze Class A office space at Corporate Center 1 next to International Plaza. No different. Few more variables thrown into Corporate Center 1 than a triplex in Holiday, right? But the concept, the overarching principle is there. Lenny, you and I discussed this, right? Remember we talked about that place did you ever get that place sold? Okay, very good. All right, Lenny was just like, had a lady, right? Lady that had, right, but had a lady that had some, had a commercial property that she kind of did, she owned it for years, right? It was like a warehouse space and kind of one of those, in Safety Harbor, highly desirable, and we walked through it, and I said, here's what I would do. I would advertise blank. We figured out what the cap rate is, right? And helped him say, that's what I'd advertise it as. So, it's used to back into value. Imagine this, okay? Let's say, let's go to another point. The logic is to create a value based on the cash flow that the property creates. It has nothing to do with CMA, okay? Right now, everybody reach inside your brain, remove the concept of comparative market analysis and set it aside for right now. Got it? Get it out. There is no comparative market analysis in this. All right? Asterisk. The only thing we're going to do with comparative market analysis is compare what a going cap rate is for this type of property. And we'll talk about that in a second. All right? So let's say I had a machine here, right in the middle of the room. All right? And every year, it spits out a certain amount of money. Okay? Okay, so at the end of the year, I just, things happen and it's just whirling, churling, and gurgling, and all of a sudden, poof, it just and spits out X amount of dollars. I'm going to tell you how, okay, based upon that X amount of dollars that it spits out, what am I willing to pay for that machine? That's all we're going to do. Okay? It's pretty simple. Check it. If I was a logic that if you invested the same amount of money in a money market or other investment at a predetermined rate of return, how much would that investment cash flow? That's all we're talking about. It's all about the cash flow. Back to your math portion of your real estate exam, they called it NOI, net operating income. Does that sound familiar? All right. We're going to get to that. That's what it's all cash flow is net operating income. All right. Now, here's our example. We're going to put real life numbers to this. I made this presentation probably about 3 years ago, so some of the data might be dated, and who cares? All right, numbers work. Triplex and Holiday. All right, each unit rents for, here's the data we need. Each unit rents for $550 a month. All right, the landlord has to pay water because there's only one water meter. All right, landlord pays water. It's at an average of $75 a month. He also pays for lawn care for an average of $75 a month. And the taxes are $3,000 a year. Fair enough? And the additional thing, we have $1,800 a year in insurance. That's property insurance. Okay? Homeowners insurance, if you will. Fair enough? Raw data, simple type of concept. Everybody agree that's pretty logical? All right? Now, here are our calculations. We're going to first calculate the annual net income. Okay, but before we can do annual net income, we have to start with the gross income. All right, Jacksonville, okay? All right, they got any questions, tell them to type in and we'll slow it down for us, all right? Gross income, $550, right, each unit, times 3, times 12. Agree? Because we're annualizing this income. Everybody agree, 19.8? You can check my math if you want, but it's true. All right, with me so far? $550 each unit. 3 units gives us $1,650 a month. Multiply that times 12, and you get $19,800 of gross income. All right? Expenses. I have 150 times 12. What did 150 come from? Water was 75 and lawn care was 75, so that's 150 times 12, because I have to annualize that because that was monthly, right? So I move that times 12, and then I add 4,800, 3,000 in taxes, 1,800 in insurance. Okay, but those are annual fees, so only just add the 4,800 bucks. With me so far? 6,600 bucks in expenses. All right. Net income, gross income, minus expenses, net income. Fair enough? 13.2. Now, my commercial guy's saying, yeah, if it were just that simple, right? Okay. So Steve's looking at me and saying, yeah, but what about vacancy rate? What about maintenance and improvements? What about, and I get it. And that's why I said when you get to be in larger scale properties, so a 30-unit apartment complex, all right? And there is vacancy rate needs to be factored in. I'll tell you right now, a triplex in Holiday, you can assume a 0 vacancy rate. You can get that thing rented all day long. Now, real life too, by the way, if you're going to be an investor, I've owned triplexes in Holiday. Okay? Don't own them anymore, but I've owned them. In order to keep your vacancy rate as low as possible, all right, you want to make them as maintenance-free as possible. Everybody, close your eyes and picture with me the last time, picture a bathroom at a Taco Bell. Can you picture it? All right?
Regretfully.
Okay, exactly. All right? Open your eyes now. Bathroom at a Taco Bell. Tile everywhere. Right? Tile the ceiling if they'll let me. Okay, trust me on this. All right, my triplexes, ceramic tile on the floors everywhere, semi-gloss paint everywhere. All right, semi-gloss on the cabinets. My goal was, you're out? Okay, great. Fire hose, you're in. Okay, and you get them done. Because that way you're going to keep your vacancy rates down. If I had built these triplexes from the get-go, guess what I would have put in? In the very center, I just put a little remnant rug over it. I would put one of those little drains in there too. You know how they put those drains in the middle? Can you imagine just squeegeeing everything down? All right, that tenant's out, you squeegee down, you boom, you're gone, you're out, you're in. All right. So now you have that. So, but in a real life example, if I had a 30-unit apartment complex, you say, well, what is the vacancy rate? Well, you look at their books, right? And you say, give me the average of, hey, fully rented, it rents for, let's say, 10 times this, right? $132,000 $198,000 of gross income, but on average, 3% of the units are vacant at any given time, so we're only going to count 97% of that $198,000. That make sense? All right, so those are things you can factor in. There is maintenance and all that kind of stuff that you should factor in as well. We're going to talk about that a little bit later when we talk return on investment. Okay, fair enough so far though. Simple math. All right, multiply it out. Gross minus expenses equals net. With me so far. Now, go back to our machine. Okay, machine sitting in the middle of the room. Bob, I got a machine. I got a machine for you. Let me show you the verified, certified. My accountant is guaranteed. You look at this. Boom, boom, boom. Here are the numbers. Every year it spits out $13,200.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, how much would you pay me for that? Every year, $13,200. Don't know yet, right? Okay, depends. I don't trust you. I never bought a machine like that. Exactly. Okay, it all depends. The answer is it depends on the rate of return that Bob's looking for, right? Let me give you an example. If Bob said, I'm not touching a machine like that for anything less than 10% return on my money, here's the math. Okay? Take the net operating income, divide it by the desired cap rate, all right? Now say, well, cap rate, you just tell me you just desire a cap rate? Yeah, you do. Now, the seller will tell you if it's realistic or not, right? Are they willing to sell it to you for a 10% cap rate or not? But here's the logic. What we're telling you here, the net operating income, divide it by the desired cap rate, a decimal representation thereof, right? Everybody agree that 10% is 0.10? Okay, all right, I just want to make sure we're there, okay? That, if you do the math on your phone calculator, you come up with $132,000. Kind of makes sense, right? Because if Bob gave me $132,000 in cash, all right, and he said, I want a 10% rate of return, What's 10% of 132,000? 13.2 this year, next year, the year after, the year after, the year after, as long as it's fully occupied and all that kind of stuff, right? So he said, I'm willing to pay you $132,000 for that machine, real estate triplex. I mean, in a Holiday, excuse me, that kicks out $13,200 of net income every year. Fair enough? Now, here's where I lose people in math a little bit, and here's where I got better at it last night. I think it helps. Ready? Track with me on this. What's 100 divided by 4? 25. Everybody agree? Okay. What's 100 divided by 2? 50. So 100 divided by 4 is 25. Okay. 100 divided by 2 is 50. So when I lower my divided by number, okay, when that number gets smaller, my result gets larger. Are you with me? So 100 divided by 4 is 25. 100 divided by 50 is, or 100 by 2 is 50. 100 divided by 1 is 100. So the smaller that number gets, my divided by number, the larger my result. Got it? Just lock that in. Let me ask you this question. Is 8% larger or smaller than 10%? Smaller. So when I divide by a smaller number, my result is larger. Therefore, an 8 cap means I'm dividing by a smaller number, right? Everybody agree that 8% is less than 10%. My result is bigger. You with me? Okay? What that means is this. Bob says, all right, I've never owned a machine like that, so I'm a little skeptical, so I won't touch a machine like that unless I can get 10%. Because right now my $132,000 sitting in the bank is getting 1.4, right? If I'm lucky. So if I'm going to take that kind of risk on a machine that I don't really know, and I'm trusting your CPA that his numbers are right and all this kind of stuff, then I'm going to get a better rate of return. Okay? Well, Steve says, I've owned lots of machines like that. I've got experience, and I'm comfortable that I can see how that could work. I'm okay with an 8% rate of return. All right? So Steve, is willing to pay $165,000 for the same machine. It's the same triplex, right? The value comes in what rate of return you're looking for. Does that make sense to you? Are you with me? And this is the way investors think. They don't care that a triplex 2 streets over sold for X. That's CMA. We left that at the door, remember? We promised to do that? All right? It doesn't matter. This is the problem in real estate agents. They all the time come and say, and then first of all, they list properties and have no idea what they're doing, right? They do. They're totally clueless on investment property, and they can't have this discussion. And they say, well, the triplex 2 streets over sold for $132,000. Yeah, well, the triplex 3 streets over or 2 streets over had a net operating income of $19,200. This one's $13,200. Totally different animal. Oh, but they're both triplexes, aren't they? Well, yeah, they are, but they're totally different animals, different machine, right? So all that matters is what you're willing to pay is based upon what the thing cash flows. All right? Everybody understand this? In your head, say this. I don't give a flying flip what the place 3 streets over sold for. All right? Because you don't. All right? All you care is net operating income. Now, asterisk Kev.
Just to interject a little bit, I was in a meeting last week with an investor, a guy from France who's buying a ton of properties here. We were meeting with his agent, and the agent was talking about the current seller's mortgage, and it was going to be a short sale situation, how they were going to get out of that, and he started getting into the features of the property. And the guy just stopped him and said, I don't care about any of that. I'm an investor. I'm going to put my money here, and it needs to grow at a certain rate. Right. I don't care anything about what it looks like or where it is.
Show me the cash flow. It doesn't matter. And here's
like a fool for
right. Because he didn't know, he's trying to represent, he's probably looking at selling a lot of these. Guy's got a lot of money to spend, right?
Buy 40 homes this year.
Yeah. Right. He needs to find a new agent, quite frankly. You know what I mean? It's because If the agent doesn't understand, here's the problem. When we list these properties, nobody gives me the data I need to analyze the things, right? They tell me about nice frilly lace curtains in the kitchen, right? And the guy from France says, Sacre bleu, I can care less about that. I want to know, what are the rents, what's the net operating income, and what's my rate of return if I buy it for X amount of dollars. You're asking 165, all right? I look at the numbers and say that's an 8 cap. That's not enough for me. I want a 10 cap. So that means for your same house, I'm willing to buy it for 132. And the owner says, but my realtor told me the house, the triplex 2 streets over sold for 165, right? And so bad information gets put into a seller's head, and the seller doesn't even understand that here's the way an investor is going to look at it.
Conversations at one time.
Exactly, right? You're apples and oranges, right? And that's exactly what this investor was saying to his agent.
Yeah, and the way you're describing that, it's as important or more important for that listing agent to speak the language of the investor to the seller, because the one who chooses over the fact.
Exactly. Now, and that's right, because now they've put them a false number in their head, either low or high, by the way. Sometimes they're underselling them. They don't undersell them for long because wise people give in and jump and say, man, that's a 12, that's a 14 cap. Boom, they're on it, okay? And they're like, boy, that sold fast. Great job, agent. And they're like, yeah, I left money on the table. If you really, because you could have sold it for a 10 cap, which would have been more money in your pocket, Mr. Seller, if you'd had an agent that knew what the heck they were doing. Exactly. Bob, do you have something to add?
So you can tell like at a certain cap rate, and the house down the street, the triplex sold for this.
Right.
He's got a double advantage. He gets his cap rate. He's also getting a hell of a good buy. I try and put the two conversations together. That's one way to do it.
Exactly. And here's the other thing. You do look at the house, the triplex 2 streets over, if you can figure out what cap rate it sold for, right? That's where you do your CMA. Your CMA, your market analysis, is analyzing what cap rate is reasonable in the market. Fair enough? Okay, cool. All right. So remember, I divide by a smaller number, I get a bigger result. Let's do the inverse of that. What do you think happens if I divide by a bigger number? I get a lesser result. So Kevin comes along and says, triplex holiday, I know what you're getting there, brother. All right, been there, done that. All right, I know what it's like to chase rent. Okay, this is me talking. All right, I know what it's like to chase rent. You got my 550? Oh yeah, Bob, I got it. Okay, don't move. All right, I'm there literally in 27 minutes. Oh, Bob, I only got 515. What happened? 22 minutes ago you had 550. It's hard, man. It's just that money just goes right out of my pocket. It's like, give me your 515. I'll take what I can get right now. All right, and so it's just, there's issues involved. And so Kevin says, I ain't touching that unless I get 12. All right, so Kevin says that same machine, I want a 12% rate of return. I'm willing to only pay you 110 for that same machine. All right, do the math. All right, the same machine, because back into it. Somebody take 110,000 times 0.12. Guess what you get? 13.2. Somebody take 165 divided by 0.8. What do you get? Multiply times 0.8. What do you get? 13.2. All right, that's the beauty of math. I'm just telling you, I get fired up. I know it's cold in here, but it's not cold for me because I just get excited when I start talking numbers. You put dollar signs with numbers, now I really get excited because this stuff made sense. When I got to real estate school and I remember they actually taught this stuff, I say, holy smokes, something that actually matters, right? Who cares if my license is suspended, revoked, and how many weeks and this and the whatever, all right? I'll keep myself out of jail. I get it. Thank you very much. But this is applicable, right? This stuff works. Here's the other cool thing. You can always check your math to make sure it makes sense, right? Other thing, quick aside. When I taught people handed in tests to me in math, all right, when you hand it in, I told my students all the time, you're handing in early, you got 15 minutes, what's your score? I said, what do you mean? I said, what grade you get? They said, I don't know. I said, you should. You got 15 minutes left, go check your work. You should be able to hand, if I gave you all day long to take a math test, all right, you should be able to hand it in and say, I got a 92. Right? Because I had the ability to check my work, right, and get back in and get it done. Fair enough? All right, so everybody good with cap rate? All right, now, That's not the only thing. Let's analyze the monthly payment. We talk about opium, right? Other people's money, the power of leverage, all right, what Brinley was talking to us about, because she was talking about leveraging your time. Now we're going to leverage your money, all right? That's what OPM is. Other people's money allows you to leverage it. Right now, investors still can get 20% down investment money, right? 80% LTV, it's out there, right? Let's say that we agreed upon a 10% cap and we're going to buy this place for $132. Fair enough? If I was going to put 20% down, everybody agreed $26,400? All right? That's what amount of money out of my pocket. I'm the buyer, all right? So I'm buying it for $132. I took $26,400 and put it out of my pocket. Principal and interest on that, I ran an amortization schedule on it at 5.5% on a 30-year note is $599.59. Check me, it is. All right, 5.5 is probably about a legitimate rate for an investor right now. Might get it for 5. Okay, if you put 20% down, let's just use 5.5. $599.59. That's our monthly payment analysis. Taxes are $250 a month. Agreed, because there's $3,000 a year. Divide it by 12, we get $250. Insurance is $150 a month. $1,800 divided by 12, right? $150. Total monthly outgo on this is $999.59. It's happened to work that way. All right, it's kind of nice. Kept that under $1,000. Sounds like I am the guy selling my product at 2 a.m. All right, but if you hurry, all right. But wait, there's more. All right, all right. So the total monthly payment on this is $999.59. Agreed? Because we want to analyze this and make sure. Robert Kiyosaki, okay, Rich Dad Poor Dad. All right. Here's a definition of an asset. Ready? Think it's, you need to go to Harvard MBA to understand an asset. No. Here's an asset. Does it create a cash flow? Period. Okay? 1962 Corvette, collector's item. You buy it in 2015, hoping that somebody in 2020 is going to think it's worth more than what you bought for it or what you paid for it. All right? Not an asset. Okay? A 1988 taxi cab that has a meter in it, all right, or nowadays your car with Uber, okay, is an asset because it can create a cash flow, right? The Corvette, do not buy investment property betting on the come. Please, 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 I see it all day long. Yeah, but the average annual rate of appreciation, BS. If you want to do that, go live in California. They go through the cycle, the up-down cycle that we just went through, right? All right, it took us 20 years to kind of work through the whole process, all right? They do that about every 4 years in California, all right? That's just the way they live, all right? You want to do that, go for it. Do not bet on the come. Assume you're going to get, let me ask you this. With what we just discussed on value, all right, we back into a value based upon the cap rate, based upon its net operating income. How do I increase the value of an investment property? Thank you.
What did she say?
Increase the rent, and what she meant by that is increase the net operating income, right? Because that increases the gross. Better yet, if you increase the gross and lower the expenses, and you get a double effect on that. But the bottom line is that $13,200 that we used as the analysis and we created the $132,000 purchase price on, all right? If you made that net operating income $16,000 instead of $13,200, now that same property is now worth $160 at the same cap rate, all right? That's how you increase the value of your investment property, is you increase its net operating income. When I bought, I at one point had 35 or 38 rental units spread out. Some were triplexes, some were duplexes, some were single-family homes, everything else. All right? I bought them correctly, and I increased their value. You know why? The first thing I did is they were under-rented. I mean, they were not charging enough rent for the market. Oh, but she's a nice lady, and she's lived there 15 years. Great, that's good for you. I'm glad you have a relationship with her. I don't. Okay, guess what? When her lease is up, I'm getting to the market rent. All right, so I started jacking the rents, and I got people out, and I just made sure, and I was tough love, not taking people's excuses, and just, I was keeping my vacancy rates down. I was Taco Bell bathroom, these things, right? I was just getting them in and out and getting them done. That's how you do it. Okay? Now, everybody agree total payment $999.59? We understand other people's money is good, but it still has to make sense. Using other people's money and having a negative cash flow, don't do it. That's California. I had a good buddy of mine was buying all sorts of investment property in California. I grew up in California, so I can bang on him a little bit, all right? Oh, Bob, this is awesome, man. I'm buying all this property. I said, great. How's your cash flow? Well, I got a negative AM loan, all right, and it's still costing me $280 a month. I got a negative cash flow of $280 a month. I said, so the principal balance is going up every month, all right? That's what everybody knows a negative AM loan means, is that you're not even paying the interest on the thing, okay? And it's costing you $280 a month if it's fully occupied with no AC repairs in a perfect world. God bless you, have fun, all right? I'm staying away. I'm going to do the monthly payment analysis. I'm going to make sure it has a positive cash flow even when I use other people's money, all right? $999.59. Other, $150. What's my other? $75 for water, $75 for lawn. Got it? Grand total, $1149.59. Everybody with me? That's my monthly outgo on this thing with 20% down at a 5.5% rate amortized over 30. Here's my true cash flow, $1,650, right? Fully occupied, $550 times 3. It's my gross rents minus my monthly expenses. I've got a positive cash flow. There's a positive. That number is not red. That's a good thing. Okay? We don't want red numbers there. $500.41 a month. Fair enough? Alternative uses. Let's say I said, you know what? I don't know. Real estate's, maybe you got an investor you're working with. The guy from France says, Sacre bleu, I'm only getting 2%, right, on my money, so screw that noise. I'm going to go get some better returns. So he says, right now, if I had my $26,400, that was my down payment, that's the only money I put out, right, at a 2% rate of return, that would equal $44 a month. All right? Now, this math is pretty easy. Which is better, $500.41 or $44 a month? Thank you. All right, very good. If you don't agree with that, then we'll do some nice exchanging after class. I'll be happy to play some poker with you too. All right? $500.41 is better than 44. Are you with me? Now, in 5 years, check this. I know we can really get deep into this thing, but let's say I left rents the exact same, didn't touch them for 5 years. Left them at $550. All right? Had a goodness of my heart. The nice people were in there. Everything was good. By the way, there is value in keeping your properties occupied. So you got to do the analysis. Hey, I could jack rents by $50 a month, but if I do, they leave and I have 2 months of vacancy, the pooch, right?
You can't get too far behind. Meet them in the middle.
Right, exactly. But here's the other thing, too. Real life examples, all right? It's easier for them to pay an extra $50 a month than move. All right? They may make a rash decision, so I'm out of here, and then they start looking around. They're like, "Oh, Bob, you know what? I already got it rented." But now I can't get anything for $750 a month, and you just were going to give him $600. Well, that's a bad decision, huh? All right. So you have to that fine balance. But let's say I left him alone, didn't raise him until the very end. I said, you know what? I'm tired of this triplex. I think I'm going to sell it this year. So in order to do so, I'm going to raise rents this year, so that I can show a higher net operating income, therefore sell it for more. All right? So at the very end, I raised it by $50 a month, each unit, and now I've increased the cash flow monthly from $500.41 to $650.41. Agreed? Okay? The value at a 10 cap, all right, we could go back and do that whole analysis again, but basically what I'm saying is, gross income minus all the expenses, I'm going to end up with $15,000 a year of net operating income instead of $13,200 at the same cap rate that I purchased it at 5 years ago. Let's say it hasn't changed. That place is now worth $150,000. Because the house 2 doors down? No, because it cash flows $15,000 a year and I'm selling it at 10 cap, right? $150,000. All right, now, by the way, here's the other beauty of math. We've heard the term return on investment a lot, haven't we? All right? know what's so awesome about math? Return on investment. Correct? Does that look like return on investment to you? Is return on investment? Return is on top of investment, is it not? Yeah? Return on investment? Yeah, but Bob, word problems just suck. I don't know how to do. How do I remember the formula? The formula is in the stinking name of the what you're looking for. Return is on investment. What does a fraction mean? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Divide. Okay? Return divided by your initial investment gives you your return on investment. Okay? Because, raise right hand, math is not hard. Okay, there we go. All right. ROI continued. Loan balance. I did the amortization schedule.
Bob, before you go further, ask a question, please.
Yes, you may.
On your 5-year example, you say you own property now?
I do.
What happens to your taxes? There's no cap on those.
Yeah, understood.
You get 10% increase per year. So your $3,000 in taxes for 5 years is damn near double. Somewhere you got to factor that in.
That's right. And there are other things you have to factor in. Don't get me wrong.
That's
okay.
Obvious.
I agree. And what Bob just brought up is that the thing I can't control, obviously I can't control rent, really. The market controls rent. I'd love to charge everybody $9,000 a month in rent, but it's not going to get it for a triplex and holiday. The market says no, right? My taxing authority says no. So my taxes went up maybe. So those are things you have to factor in. And if you did so, and Bob is exactly right, my net operating income is going to be lower. Even though I raised my gross income, my expenses maybe went up as well. So I may not get a dollar for dollar bang for that buck. So you just have to run the math and do that. That's a very good point. Very good point. All right? Because expenses can go up as well. All right?
Property that's not homesteaded is freed by the government to go up not more than 10% per year. And boy, it's 9.99.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
When you write the check, it's so close to 10% it smells.
Yeah.
So count on that.
And here's the other thing.
You don't get the right to vote, so you don't get to vote yourself out of it.
Okay. And here's the other thing too, is that even if they cap these things, oh yeah, but we got a 3% cap on how much they can raise my assessed value. Well, that's great. But guess what? There are two things that multiply together to get your property taxes. One is your assessed value. One is your millage rate. All right? Oh, so the city of Dunedin goes and they meet and they say, crap, we need $487 million to run our city. Okay? And now they pass a stinking law, prop whatever, right, that says we can only raise people's assessed values by X. So here we are. So the maximum, if we raised everybody, now we're here. How do we get to 487 million? We raised the millage rate so that the two numbers still multiply to give us 487 million. Oh, Bob, Prop 1 or whatever prop, I live in Tennessee now, so I don't get to vote here. Whatever prop that was, unless they cap both sides of it, they're always going to get their cash. All right? Trust me on that. All right? So what you need to do is say, hey, you know what? I think you could run the city for 387 million. So figure that out, Mr. and Mrs., county commissioner or whatever. All right? Get that done. Fair enough? All right. Good. Political aside, let me step right off my soapbox. Let me step down. All right. Here we go. All right. Loan balance. At the end of 5 years, the loan, you can do the amortization schedule. I'm not going to break this out for you. Just go to a financial calculator. It's in the MLS right there waiting for you. All right? The loan balance after 5 years is $97,638 or thereabouts. Okay? It's actually there. All right? The cost of sale, $11,000. What's the biggest cost of sale for me? Yeah, real estate. Stinking real estate commission. Jiminy, you guys are greedy SOBs. 6%? God bless it. That's why I got my license, so I don't have to pay that. All right? All right? So, but of that, if an investor had to take a look at a cost of sale. Now, where did I get that? 6% of 150. Remember, we're selling it for 150 now, right? That's $9,000. By the way, everybody, Joseph is now in 6th grade, but when he was in 2nd grade and we were learning his multiplication tables, we started with 6s. Dad, why are we starting with 6s? Every realtor's son needs to know how to multiply by 6. All right? You should be able to calculate 6% of anything. All right? Like that. That should just flow off the top. Why, Dad? Because that's what keeps you eating, bro. All right? You got that food on the table? All right? That's what 6% is all about. So that's what we do. All right. So $9,000 plus another doc stamps on the deed, title insurance. Stinking title people. All right. All right. Okay. All right. Exactly. Should be more. All right. Get to 11 grand. That's right. How do we make 9 and you make 1,000? What's up with that? That is terrible. All right. Okay. So I made 9 grand, but I'm not willing to part with 250 for Brindley, so I could go sell another house and make another 9 grand. All right. At 250, I'm going to hug on to it. My clients love me. Look at her. Your clients are going to love Brindley, the more they're going to like you anyway. It's all right. It's just the way it rolls. All right. Get it done.
Do you blame him?
All right. I know what I'm saying. Exactly. Look in the mirror. What's the deal? Come on. I'm with you. All right. Cost of sale, 11 grand. Don't turn off your thing. All right. Net proceeds, $41,362. $150. All right. This is before August 1st. This is a very simple HUD. All right. We haven't got to the yeah, right. Exactly. All that kind of stuff yet. Very simple. Back in the day when the closing was on a napkin. All right. All right. It was the way it should be. $150,000 minus the $97,000 I owe the bank minus the 11 grand in closing costs. I end up with a check for $41,362. Question, is that my gain? No. Well, you've been making it every month, but I also put money in to start. Are you with me? So I walked away with a check for 41 grand, but I walked in with a check 5 years ago for 26.4. Are you with me? So my true gain, see that first number, 14,962? That's my true gain, because I got to take out, hey, I had that money, right? That 26.4 I could have had in my pocket if I hadn't bought this piece of property. So really I've only gained 14,962, but my investment was only 26.4, not the 132,000 I paid for it. My money out of pocket was 26.4. I've now gained 14,962. Are you with me? So my gain, all right, Evelyn, you with me? Okay, that's all right. Let's follow it. 41,362. That's the check I walked out of closing with. But remember, 5 years ago I walked in with a check for 26.4. So I got to subtract those two numbers, and that's where I get the 14,962. Okay, that's my actual gain, my return, if you will. The investment that I had was not the 132,000 I paid for it because I didn't put all that in. Right? I used other people's money. So I only put in 26.4. So my investment was 26.4, meaning if I divide those out, I get 56.7% rate of return. Not bad. That's over 5 years. So we need to annualize that, divide it by 5, and come up with 11.34% rate of return on that investment. Okay? Not bad. Watch how I make it better. What I'm not factoring in, okay, is the fact that I made $500 every month for 60 months. Now, we're all very disciplined, and that $500.41 went right into an investment account, and we never touched it, right? We didn't go buy golf clubs. We didn't go buy the latest, Cole Haans. We didn't go buy the latest, we didn't take our, group out to dinner and all that. None of that, right? We just said, this is an investment. I'm going to make small base hits. I love Dave Ramsey, right? So we're going to just, live a financial peace. Here we go. I socked it all away, socked it all away, socked it all away. Well, guess what? $500 a month times 60 months, because you've owned it for 5 years, is $30,024. Okay? Now catch this. Here's the greatest line in this whole presentation. All right? 3 words. And take half. Somebody asked me, Bob, where did you say decided to get 50%? Why take half? Somebody asked me that. I pulled it out of my backside. Number I just pulled out of my backside, right? This is just experience talking, right? Here's the experience. My taxes went up. Here's the experience. The place needed a new roof. Here's the experience. One of the AC units needed to be replaced. All right? This is just real life me talking over my history as an investor, looking at that. This is where we factor in maintenance and, what's the actual terminology we use? Is it repairs and maintenance, I guess, or something, it's whatever it is. That's a factor you would factor into your analysis, right? So let's say half of that went away for improvements on the property, okay? Because, try as we might, the tenants just don't like it in July when the AC is not working. You try and get them to abide by it. Come on, you know, is it really that bad, right? But dadgummit, they want a new AC, right? So you had to do it. So let's say we only made 15 grand instead of that 30 grand because the other part had to go out the door. All right. Now follow me here. 14,962. That's my gain from the sale, right? Plus 15,012 bucks. That's my half of the 30 that I made along the way. Okay. Take those two numbers, add them together, divide that by 26.4, and now you get 113.5% return. Okay. Not bad. Divided by 5, because we're going to annualize that again. And my actual rate of return was 22.7% annually on that 26.4. Better than the 44 bucks a month I was getting at 2% invested in my money market account. Fair enough? Now, why would somebody do that? Because 22.7% is better than 2%, right? Should it pay more? Heck yeah, right? You ever owned a triplex? All right. Is it as simple as putting your money in the bank and watching the return come in? It's not, right? There's more work involved. By the way, up there, half of that money could have been, what's a typical management fee for a real estate agent? 10% of monthly rents, right? You want to be more of a passive investor, which I highly recommend, by the way. Hire a management company. Factor that into your analysis, all right? And factor out that 10% of the monthly rents, okay? So out of that $1,650 gross rent that was coming in, 165 goes out to pay somebody else like Jerry Papa to go do this for you. All right? It's worth every penny. All right? Just make sure it still cash flows because Robert Kiyosaki will come out and beat you over the head. All right? And say it's not a good idea. With me so far? Okay, cool. Here's the thing. There are also tax benefits. First of all, I'm looking around the room. About half of you are agents with Future Home Realty, so I am your broker. Okay? You guys do not become a CPA. All right? Don't even try and give this advice. If you're not with me, do whatever the heck you want. All right? That's between you and your broker. Okay? Give all the advice you want. Be a lawyer, CPA, and all things in between. Okay? But you're with us, I don't want to hear about it. Okay? Residential real estate also depreciates over 27.5 years. By the way, residential is anything under 4 units or under, I should say. Okay? Depreciates over 27.5 years. In our analysis, we would have, in addition to the tax benefit of this gain, not all that gain would be there because for tax purposes, $3,636 a year would go away from our taxes based upon depreciation. Anybody? Why did I told you it's 27.5 years. Why did I divide 100,000 by 27.5? Taxable amount, assessed value, or better yet, here's the better description. The only thing that depreciates is the improvement. The land value, right, is not depreciable because they say land doesn't depreciate. All right. So out of the 132,000, all right, 100,000 of it so was maybe assigned to the improvement. The other 32 was assigned to the land value. That's why they had that broken down in the property records for you. All right. And then that's, you can do that. You have to get with your own CPA as what value you assign. But once you assign it for the duration as long as you own it. That's what they're going to use as the analysis every year. All right. For your depreciation. Fair enough. Cool thing is you get to write that portion off on your taxes, but when you go to get approved for a loan, they add it back in, right? They add that back in because they know you gained it. It's just a paper loss, all right? What does it do, by the way? It lowers your cost basis for capital gains analysis down the road. So when you went to buy this or sell this thing later on and you have capital gains tax, excuse me, that is associated with this, it's going to have lowered your basis. Now, here's the good news. Well, not so good as anymore because we got somebody in office who thinks capital gains should go even higher. He already raised it from 10 to 20, right? and given his own druthers would probably make it 30. But even at 20, it's lower, capital gains is lower than most of your ordinary income tax rates right now. All right? So it's better to have a capital gain even yet. If we vote correctly in 2016, it'll probably go back down to 10, so it'll be even more of a reason to do that. Okay? All right, because that's, well, I think capital gains should be 0. I also think minimum wage should be 0. Why? Because what's the true minimum wage? 0. Because you keep raising minimum wage so high, guess what you're going to have? No job. So what's your minimum wage? 0. All right, Kevin.
Back to the guy from France who's talking about the way taxes are handled there. First of all, the income tax rate is at minimum 80% of your income. It very much encourages people to not work and to live off the government.
Sure.
Minimum was what number again?
80.
Minimum tax rate.
Minimum tax rate.
And
Income tax rate.
in this example, the capital gains starts at 80 and then goes down slightly the longer that you hold it. And the notary, they have a role there played by people that's similar to a notary here.
All right.
That person gets 10%. So if there's a $200,000 transaction and I handle the closing and notarize the documents, 20,000 of that comes to me, of which 80% goes, or 90% of that goes to tax. So actually.
But they get 6 weeks vacation every year. Okay, come on. All right.
They get to live in France.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the point is, people that have money in France are very much looking, and
Sure.
lots of other countries, very much looking to invest here.
Right.
That they had, a few years ago, there was a group of those gurus on how to invest, charging people a few $1,000s for their little seminar, and they had a charter plane coming from France twice a week with all these people with money, and they bought thousands of properties down there.
How could they not, right? It makes way more sense, all right? And I think ours are still too high, but it's all relative, right? Okay, so that's, yeah. So better yet, go catch the guy from France and actually have a realtor that knows what he's talking about, right? Because his realtor, Kevin said the realtor didn't know what he's talking about. But you have a realtor that knows what he's talking about, and you are in like Flint, all right? Business is rolling. Things are great. Life is good, right?
Yeah, schedule the charter plane.
Right. Exactly. Get it done. Absolutely. It's just it's really a no-brainer. All right. So this would be a passive loss, by the way, for most of your investors that you're working with. It'd be a passive loss, not an active loss. Talk to your CPA about what that means, okay? I don't do my own taxes anymore. I did my own taxes for years. Why I think it's wise for me to do my own taxes, because I need to understand what a CPA is doing, all right? I don't just, here it is, Bob, here's what you owe, or here's what you get back. Well, you know what? Thank you, but let's talk about this for a second. I understand this. All right, what way could I have minimized this earlier? What way could I have done? What, you know what I mean? Let me make some changes. All right? Closing thoughts. Learn to look at a piece of property as an investment outside of the normal CMA analysis. Remember, we left our CMA out the door. All right? For investors, CMAs don't matter. A true investor could care less about a CMA. All right? What they are concerned with, though, cash flow, cap rate, return on investment, and the tax benefits of doing this. All right? That it can actually be an investment tool for them to do it. It can be an investment tool for you, but it's a great way to analyze it and figure out what's going on. Okay? Learn to speak this language. I joke this. Remember Jerry Maguire? All right? When he walks in and he's, they're having a ladies' book club and he breaks in and he has that big long speech and she stops him and says, you had me at hello. Right? Okay? Guess what? Say this to an investor and you had me at cap rate. All right? A real estate agent who understands the way I think is invaluable. All right? And guess what? Steve will attest to this. Less than 1% of realtors out there know how to speak this language. Okay? You can set yourself apart immediately by getting this done. Questions before we go? None? Got it?
1031 exchanges.
1031 exchanges. All right.
When you sold your property, you did those?
I did a few. I've done a few exchanges when I did that. Kevin, yeah, and you deal with that, and Kevin did both, right? You deal with 1031 exchanges.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
No, I'm not an intermediary, but I can facilitate it.
Right, and facilitate, and they have intermediaries that they would use. So,
Yeah, the
right.
investors actually have their own intermediary.
That's right, and they have 6 months to pick the property. Totally different animal, but great way to go if you're going to take. By the way, if you read Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, all right, what does he teach? 4 green houses for 1 red hotel, right? Because you got to have 4 green houses before you can get the red hotel, all right? In Monopoly. So what you do is you take your 4 single-family homes or 4 triplexes. I'm going to sell those, 1031 exchange them into those 12 units, now become a 30-unit apartment complex. Okay, it's right, exactly. Even 1 red hotel, you buy a Hampton Inn. Okay, and so then you take that, and now you buy JW Marriott, right? And then I don't know where you go from there. The Ritz is next to the JW Marriott, so you can buy them both. All right, okay, and you do. That's just the way these guys roll, right? But they 1031 exchange them because you're delaying the tax. All right, you're pushing it off for another day. Okay, and if you keep doing it enough, you push it off to your heirs. Let them deal with it. All right, and make it happen. Very cool. All right, any other questions off the top? Great, small class, got it done. Piece of cake, huh? All right.
Very good job.
If you want a copy of this, just email me. All right, you have my email. Happy to do it, and we'll roll from there. Cool? Awesome. Great job. Let me know if you need anything. Steve, best of luck to you over there. All right, awesome. Appreciate that. All right, guys, have a great day. Don't forget to get Brinley's card and Kevin's card. Kevin's here. He kind of came in a little late. Kevin's the title guy. All right, good guy. The title guy, not a title guy. The title guy. Awesome.